This podcast contains strong language. Hello everybody, it's me, your favorite Banana Blank Blank Ryan, and today I was thinking, as I often do, about World of Warcraft. So this is a little bit of an oddball episode. I mean, not that we've not had one before, right? But this one is different. This is just, this is a game. A specific game that I wanted to talk about because it's become a very important game to me as of late. And it's so weird because for all intents and purposes, it really shouldn't be that important to me. It's weird that I got to this point. So first, how did I get into World of Warcraft? Well, in 2021, I started dating my current partner, Archmage Sar, and this was sort of in the fallout of the Blizzard scandals, like the sexual harassment and lawsuits, and it was just, horrible stuff. And it all started to wind down, and Blizzard was restructuring, and Sar was a big fan of World of Warcraft, but hadn't really touched it in a while because of the scandal and the lawsuits and everything. But there was all kinds of World of Warcraft memorabilia around their house, like Funko Pops, books, there's a cooking book, and as someone who grew up watching the Yogscast, I'd always been vaguely fascinated with World of Warcraft. My friend on my road, my childhood friend, his dad played World of Warcraft. A couple of my friends in primary school played it. So I always had a passing interest in the game, but it was never something I really committed time to because it just seemed so overwhelming. But I thought, right, well, I know Sar likes World of Warcraft. I'm interested in it. So I'll just get to asking questions. And I did. And the lore seemed pretty cool. They showed me a few cinematic trailers. I think specifically the one that stood out to me the most was the Battle for Azeroth one, where it's like the start of the Siege of Lordaeron. Really liked that. I thought that was really cool. Actually, I forgot to mention, I'd also seen the Warcraft movie when that came out several years before in 2016, I think. I really liked it. I thought it was a good movie. So there was enough there. The ground was all laid for me to like this game. But then after watching the trailers and learning a bit of the lore, the next obvious leap was playing the game, right? I didn't like it that much. The gameplay just never clicked. We did it on their stream a few times and it was nice and all, but it was a lot for me to keep track of. And to be fair, if I didn't have Sar there, I would have liked it even less. But Sar helped me sort of adjust to this overwhelming world of MMO, which is, probably not overwhelming for a lot of people, but as someone who mostly played FPS games at that point, my idea of a story-focused experience was just moved to from point A to point B and shoot things that got in your way. And WoW had a few more dimensions. I'd have to go back in time and ask myself really what I was struggling with, because I can't really conceptualize it in my head anymore because I'm so used to the game now. But back then in 2021, I really struggled with it. I've got to be honest. I think one of the biggest problems was how repetitive quests were. Like, go find X amount of people, go free X amount of prisoners, blah, blah, blah. Never been a big fan of repetition. And yeah, I'm a fan of Halo and they reuse stuff all the time. But all the same, it never clicked with me. I wanted to go out and explore. I wanted cool armor. So I had really cool armor. I had the shit armor that I was getting from quest progression. I bought, I think, some armor from a shop in Stormwind and had a hell of a time, let me tell you, getting back to Borealis, because it was the Battle for Azeroth quest line that you were greeted with when you started in 2021. So I found my way back to Stormwind, got some armor, and then I accidentally ended up going to Ironforge on my way back to Borealis. So I had a hell of an adventure. I think I leveled. I think I leveled up once or twice on that adventure as well, much to the disappointment of Sar, who was trying to level with me. It was a weird sort of introduction for me, I guess. It felt like nothing else I'd ever played, and I loved it, and I was fascinated by it for that. But at the same time, it was really off-putting that I was sort of running around as this, like, I looked weird. The armor did not gel well. I was playing a Night Elf Hunter, and the armor I had just didn't look right at all, and it really, really bothered me. But after a certain point, after about maybe 6 months to a year, I finally started to crack it. I made my own separate character, a dwarf hunter, I think, as well, and I leveled him through the Coldridge Mountain starting zone. And I really enjoyed that. And then I made a Death Knight, and I did the Death Knight starter zone. The Death Knight starter zone is so linear that it was just the perfect way to introduce, because I'm fucking ADHD brain. I just want to go off and do this, that, and the other. So it got me to this point where I was finally starting to understand how one goes about playing the game, because I had this linear progression to start off with. And I know Exile's Reach has that as well, but Exile's Reach just didn't gel with me at all. first time I played it, whereas the Death Knight Starter Zone, for some reason, I guess it was the bigger lore implications, the bigger story elements. Exile's Reach very much stands on its own. That really captivated me because I wanted to see where it goes, where it went. Whereas with Exile's Reach, I've probably done that fucking Starter Zone like 50 times at this point with a bunch of vaults, and I could not tell you, define the workings of the story beyond save a bunch of kidnapped people, kill a dragon and an ogre. I don't think there is much more to it than that, to be honest. But yeah, the Death Knight Starter Zone was fantastic, and I started getting involved in the lore. And I started thinking, how do these characters that I've made? One of the things that I love to do, and a lot of people love to do in RPG games, is try and figure out a way to make your characters fit into the lore. So I started researching, like, what's the deal with the Death Knights, and then from there, what's the deal with the Forsaken, and what's the deal with the Night Elves, and Teldrassil, what happened there? And the Forsaken are involved in that. And Sylvanas, and Sylvanas has a history of the Death Knights, and it all just sort of spiraled from there. And at that point, I hit this critical juncture of then I was really invested in the story, and I also really wanted to make a Kultiran as my main. So I got Sar to help me finish the Beefer quest line. Battle for Azeroth storyline, and I got my Kultiran. At that point, I had enough going on with my characters that I could do a little bit of transmog. And also, my original toon, Vol'jin, who was the Night Elf Hunter, he was like level 60 something by this point. I bought Shadowlands as well because I was finally like, right, I love this game. I'm gonna buy Shadowlands. I got level boost, so I level boosted my Kultiran Kratos, and I was like, okay, sweet. So what do I do now? We've done Beefer. Where do we go from here? And Sar introduced me to the world of Mogrons, and let me tell you, this is where I was completely and utterly enraptured by the game. I loved the idea of going to places like Icecrown Citadel and Black Temple and just steaming through everything, because it's all played into like a power fantasy element of just like this just unstoppable force of nature. So, why I play games like Halo and Doom. But then also I was getting story out of it, which is awesome, because I could relive these incredible moments from the game's history and from the universe's history. And also I got cool loot that I could customize my characters with, and thus started this endless obsession of making alts and finding out how they fit into the lore and the racial backgrounds and the lore behind factions that they might have been a part of and stuff like that, like the Scarlet Crusaders or the Kirin Tor, or the fucking right down to like the SAFE safe guys from Gnomeregan. Like, I just loved absorbing all of that information. So that really started my love of just becoming a collector and a Mog Runner in WoW. And then combine that with the fascination of lore. I finally like nailed down Sar's favorite characters with like Sylvanas and Illidan. I think more Sylvanas than Illidan. And I settled on Varian. I fucking love Varian. I could talk about Varian until the cows come home. And then I got Audible, because I'd been using Audible to listen to Halo books at that point. And I thought, fuck it, I'm going to start listening to WoW books. So I got Arthas, the Rise of the Lich King one by Christy Golden. Oh my god, fantastic book. Fantastic story. And from there, it's just, I listened to War Crimes over the past year. Again, really, really good book. So I'd fallen in love by this point with the lore, and I'd fallen in love with the transmogging and the collecting. I'd found a game for the first time in a long time, in like 6-7 years, where I could truly say this is like my obsession, my favorite game to play. Because I've only really had that twice before. Maybe an argument could be made for Team Fortress 2, but not to the same level as my first love was Halo. 2008, played Halo 3 for the first time. Absolutely besotted by it after a couple of games. And in 2015, I got Fallout 4. Fell in love with it again. I think it was the only game I played for like the entire summer of 2015 or 2016. And now after all this time, sort of just like bouncing between games, I come across World of Warcraft, and I've sort of flirted with it in the past. I've known people who liked it, and I've watched the movie, and one of my favorite YouTubers growing up, YouTube channels growing up, had a heavy involvement with it. So I sort of always danced around it, but now all of a sudden I'm just engrossed in this world. So it was really nice to find a game franchise that I could really get my teeth stuck into as well. Because I love like reading wikis and watching YouTube videos about the lore and about the culture and the history of not just the game universe, but then also like I'd known about the Corrupted Blood incident, but there are so many more things. Because of the nature of WoW, like the community has such a great, rich history in the development, and then it opened the door to me playing the original RTS games, of which Warcraft 3, absolutely incredible game. Warcraft 2, phenomenal. It's aged incredibly well, and Warcraft 1 is like, it shows its age a bit more, but it's still very, very charming. But the Warcraft game is incredible. Warcraft Rumble is a great little ride on my phone. Not a big fan of Hearthstone, but I'm not a big fan of card deck building games in general, but that's a me thing. Hearthstone, I know a lot of people love it, and I can see the merits in it, and it's probably the deck building game I've played the most. So yeah, just incredible franchise, absolutely besotted by it. The lore, fantastic. The transmog runs and collecting, incredible. It's just all falling into place. And then the bit that I never thought would happen, I never intended to happen, and I'm still kind of confused about it, to be honest. Becoming part of the WoW community, I, for the longest time, Saw was a variety streamer. Looping back to my my partner, Saw was a variety streamer for about a year or two, and I'd been silently, like, semi-pushing, you know, you should go more Blizzard, you know, like, you really enjoy Overwatch and you really enjoy playing WoW, and the horror streams, because we did Phasmophobia streams on their channel, and they did great, but they were always just like it was pretty fair weather, right? Like, the people who were watching SAR's streams were only there for the horror stuff, so if SAR tried to do anything else, they weren't there, and at the end of the day, SAR is not a big fan of horror, neither am I. So everyone involved in making the horror streams, which sort of just like, it was fun, and we did it because it was popular for SAR, but it wasn't where SAR wanted to go. It wasn't what SAR wanted to become. And at a certain point, there was like a shift, and I pushed like pretty hard for SAR to embrace Blizzard because they were really enjoying Overwatch 2 at that point. Crazy as that sounds to say now. We did, and Overwatch 2 started being like pretty damn good, and then SAR pushed a little bit more as Dragonflight was approaching, pushed a little bit more into... In fact, no, Dragonflight was already out at that point, I think. SAR started embracing Dragonflight a little bit more, and the hype for the War Within was starting to kick in, so again, sort of riding that hype train, and SAR came across this podcast called Talking WoW, of which I will leave a link in the relevant descriptions of whatever platform you're listening on. And so I ended up appearing on Talking WoW. I ended up appearing on Talking WoW. The lovely people. Watched a few of their streams before we went on their podcast. Lovely, lovely people. Tom and Marty. Huge love. Incredible charisma. Incredible presence on stream. And then through that, SAR was exposed to a community called the Dungeon Dojo. I think I brought them up before, maybe once on the podcast. And I was happy at that point because like SAR had found a like-minded streaming community, a group of people that they could play with, because they were sort of playing WoW either solo or like they were doing MOG runs with me, but they couldn't do endgame stuff with me. So SAR was sort of just soloing WoW, which is not what the game was made for. I mean, I like it because I like solo running MOG runs and stuff, but SAR is a social WoW player, so they found a guild and a community and everything, and it was fantastic and endlessly supportive and proud and happy that they're there. And then I started getting slowly absorbed into it. SAR's guild, which is run by an incredible person called Neek. I was invited to be a social guildie, so I don't take part in the endgame content. I'm purely there just to hang out as a friend. I started getting to know Neek and a few of the other people in the guild. Marty from Talking WoW also joined the guild after a certain amount of time. And then through that, I also started being exposed a bit more to the Dungeon Dojo, which is the wider community, which is run by a lovely, lovely individual called Wochi. And then I can't remember the sequence of events that led up to it. I think SAR might have actually put in a good word for me. I can't remember. I'm sure I've been told this, but I can't remember. But I was asked by Wochi to make a trailer for the Dungeon Dojo's coverage of Race to World First, which is a big event in World of Warcraft whenever their new raid is released. All of the professional guilds that run raids will take part in the contest. It's not sponsored by Blizzard, but they'll take part in the contest to see who can be the world first raid. The guild that can clear the raid first on the entire planet. Big thing. Big, huge thing in the WoW community. And Dungeon Dojo was going to do coverage of the first raid of the War Within, the most recent expansion as of recording this. And they were going to do a coverage of like the smaller teams. They'd lined up a few, they'd spoken to the teams that were involved, and like, we're going to cover all of you guys in the Race to World First and put the spotlight on you more than just the three main guilds. So I was approached to do the trailer for that. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Because I don't think it was like a set in stone. I think it was like a, would you be interested? And I was like, yeah, I'd be down for that. And then nothing happened for a while. And God, it must have been a while, because I think I was asked that, and then we went to PlebCon, which is a WoW community event ran by Rage Darling, who's a WoW streamer up north here in England. We went to that and met them. That was all really cool. And then I was finally contacted again months down the road. Like, we went to PlebCon in, I think, the end of July, and I was contacted to do the trailer in like early September, I want to say, maybe late August, early September. I do the trailer. I don't know how it came out as good as it did. I'll be honest. like a lot of people in the creative industry, I guess, I don't really rate the work that I do, but people loved it. And from there, Watchy turned around and said, trailer was fantastic. We wanted to make daily highlights. So I did daily highlights. So a little recap of what happened the day before to be played at the start of each stream, after the trailer that I made that was also being played at the start of each stream. So I was getting a lot of coverage and it was really cool. And the crazy thing happened once that was over. Radio.io, which is an incredible community that's focused on stat tracking and tips and tricks and advice and guild finding for endgame WoW contents, community run, but it's a serious deal. They did the Radio.io awards, and one of the aspects of it was production. There were 4 nominees, the usual 3, Echo, Method, and Liquid, the big 3 esports teams. Naturally, they're going to be there. They've got a lot of actual money to throw at the production. Big thing. And then the 4th was Dungeon Dojo, of which I helped. I wasn't a major part, I have to stress. So many other very talented people working behind the scenes there. Neek ran the production on the day, so he was in charge of like swapping between all the different things and getting the casters all sorted. And another guy, Truvilla Manny, again, incredibly talented person. He was doing all the graphics. There was a lot of people involved in the production. I just had this tiny part of making trailers and recaps, but still, it was awesome to see something that I'd worked on get nominated for an award. It's in such a big way. And I guess that got me noticed because people know me in the WoW community now. Streamers and, important people alike. It's just, it's really weird. I was recently called back to do the trailer for the Dungeon Dojo's Dungeon Invitational, the DDI, the Dungeon Dojo Invitational. Which is just like a tournament of running a bunch of Mythic Plus dungeons in game, a bunch of different teams competing. And I made the trailer for that, and that went down a treat as well. But it's just so bizarre that I'm here, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Don't get me wrong. I love doing this. I'm so excited to do this. WoW has become such a special thing for me, but 3-4 years ago, if you'd asked me what game would I be working, what game community would I most likely to be working with or want to work with or whatever. First of all, I've been lucky. I would have thought I would have been incredibly lucky if I'd even got to work with anything. But I always figured that I was going to be, going into Halo or Team Fortress or a first-person shootery kind of game, because that's where, I've watched Halo esports for years and I sort of know the games and I know how to run and, lifelong fan of a lot of these things. And to be such a, I don't want to say a big part of the WoW community, because I'm not. At the grand scheme of things, I am a tiny little speck in the WoW community, including in the WoW UK community. But to be able to have even a shred of impact on the stuff that happens and meet some fantastic people, some of which I won't name for the sake of privacy, but I met so many incredible people associated with this game in one way or another. I'd never thought I'd be here, and it just makes me so happy and so excited for the future of what I'm going to do, of what this community is going to do, and also of this game, because, Chris Metzen coming back, the World So Saga, Midnight, and The Last Titan, the upcoming expansions, it's all just very exciting. It's an awesome community to be a part of right now. WoW's only growing. It's only getting better. It's only getting more accessible, and it's only getting more fun to play. More features. Player housing, it's all coming to the game. The Warcraft 1 and 2 re-releases, they fixed Warcraft 3 as far as I'm concerned. Warcraft Rumble, all these incredible things are happening. It's only going to get better from here. And speaking of New Horizons, this is also the final episode of this first season of Bernardo Blanc Blanc. I only actually planned to do 4 episodes in the first place. I did a 5th one because I didn't want to end it on sort of a sour note of a rant. But I've enjoyed doing this. Honestly, there wasn't much of a plan here. There was never going to be much of a plan. Kind of why I chose the name Bernardo Blanc Blanc in the first place, because it's just me getting caught up in my own thoughts, rambling about whatever happens to enter my mind. And I've done that for 5 episodes now, and it's been really fun. But I have so many other things that have popped up. If you're on the Minicrit YouTube channel, there'll be some stuff coming in the near future to that. If you know about my We Sell Plants project, youtube.com/@WeSellPlants or whatever the links are these days, where I do gaming videos with Zach. That's really starting to pick up. There's a lot of exciting things on the horizon. And right now, Bernardo Blanc Blanc, it's just, there's so much to do. I don't think I can justify setting the time aside to do this for a bit, but it's not the end. This will come back in one way or another. Might come back under a different name or a different format. I don't know. but I'm really happy to have done this. Podcasting is so cool of an outlet for me to just sort of ramble into the void. And I mean, I do it as well on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/just dibble please. And you can, find me sort of doing the same kind of ramble, but also playing games there, which is why I kind of want to mix things up. And I'm sure when Bernard Blanc Blanc does return for a second season, there'll be something different to it. But this was just a test to see if I could do it. And I did do it, and I'm so happy. I'm so glad that I got to share these random thoughts with you, and I know that I've managed to reach a few people with this, and it's just been awesome. So thank you so much for being here. If you're listening to this, if you've made it to the end, you're amazing. There won't be any ending questions this time, simply just well wishes. 2025, it's been a hell of a start to the year. There's been the good and there's been the bad, and there's been the ugly, but I hope that the year just gets better and better for you. I hope that we're on to new, better horizons. So thank you so much for joining me. And I guess I'll see you some point soon, be it on Minicrit, We Sell Plants, Just Double Please, on any other variety of things. I'll be there and I'll be back. You can bet money on the fact that I'll be back here. Bye-bye.